Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Eisenhower Penis Tour! We're going on tour with Susie and Midge. There's some sexism, there's some good jokes, and Joel comes in to save the day, actually. So we have a lot to break down right now. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Someday is today. We are breaking down episode 8, baby. Things get really gross. I forgot that too. We cannot forget about the rash. But before we get into the episode, I'm Steph Sabraw, joined by Amy Maestri.
That's exactly how you say it. Thanks, Steph.
Briana Phipps.
Hey, everybody.
And Jeff Graham.
I went to the bathroom by myself.
That's how we mic check. Okay, this episode wasn't totally plot packed, but it did really move the season forward, and I think Midge's career. So we'll talk about what happened in the tour, what we can assume will happen next, and where Joel plays into it, and of course Imogene got a nice episode feature. But other than that, we'll hit the special segment, and Bree will, of course, handle that beautifully as usual, and then we will get into some predictions.
We also have a little bit of news and gossip.
Oh, she always has it.
Briana Phipps for the win.
Oh, she researcher. Before we get into the topics, what did you guys think about the episode?
Yeah, like you said, not the most plot driven, but it's almost kind of like, I feel like this was kind of like a character sketch.
Yeah.
Instead of like a premise sketch, like the Susie and Midge adventures, I thought were so much fun to watch that I didn't really care that there wasn't a whole lot happening in the episode.
I enjoyed the episode for the fact almost that Susie and Midge didn't get along, because it makes so much sense. And there's so many of those friends that you have that even though you love them, you can't like live with them or travel with them. And I love that they kind of explored that side of it. And it doesn't mean that they don't like each other. It's just they're not travel buddies, because they're from two totally different walks of life and expect different things. But I will say I was a little disappointed that the tour was done in one episode, because I thought this was going to be a multiple episode plot, and I was like, oh, I guess we're done.
Yeah, maybe they'll hit the road again before the end of the season, but I know what you mean, Brie. It's funny, you actually do bring up a good point. I was going to say that my overall thoughts were that Midge and Susie were a little too head buddy for me, where I think some of the comedy was lost in favor of like tension. I felt like they almost played the antagonism between those two a little far past funny and a little bit toward like almost dramatic. But I like that you're saying it is true, Brie, that tension is a realistic depiction of what it's like to travel with people. So, I don't know. I feel like this season there's been a couple moments where they've leaned so far into like broad character comedy that it's played a little bit intense for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. I will say, and we've said this over and over again, a bad episode quote of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is still an exceptional episode in comparison to the rest of television.
Yeah, true.
But with that being said, as I was doing a rundown, I'm like, there really wasn't much that happened, even though you would think when they're going on tour, something we've been looking so forward to, that it would be packed with a lot more. But
yeah, and that is kind of a letdown in itself of like, I wanted hijinks.
Right.
There weren't a lot of hijinks.
Yeah, when I think about what they didn't really do this episode, which they usually do so beautifully, is incorporate Midge's stand-up in a way that comments in a meta way on other things that are happening on the show. So in Paris, for example, when she did that whole riff on drag queens, to me that might be my favorite scene we've seen in the show, because it's operating on so many levels. Whereas with this, we got some good stand-up, but it wasn't necessarily contributing to anything greater in terms of the themes and movement of the show.
I will say that I feel like it's getting a little played out to have it be this thing where every time she tries to do something forward in her career, it gets shut down, which, I mean, I know what they're going for, and I'm sure we're going to get there, but I feel like we've done it so many times already this season that I'm just kind of like, let her just have a thing.
Yeah, a good set.
Amy, have you gone on tour before?
No, I've never done tour. It's, honestly, I haven't done stand up in a few years. It was mostly in my younger years. But no, I've never done a tour before. I did a lot of locations around like upstate New York and in New York City for a while, but that was it. I can only imagine that if I had a tour in a 1920s car that you had to raise your butt to
Oh my
get
gosh.
going. I mean, I think I would enjoy it.
Well, I also think
but-
nowadays you don't need tours as much for younger or starting out comedians. I think back then it was a way to get yourself known to a wider variety of audiences, but we have social media for that nowadays. That now it's more the headliners go on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think young comics now, if they're touring, it's mostly colleges. I feel like that's the...
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah. A lot of colleges and then just like random places too that put on shows now. Like it's not only bars and coffee shops anymore. It's just like random like pop-up places or like you'll just be kind of like performing in
Come
the
tell
corner.
jokes to the family while they're eating dinner.
Right. That's for real.
Actually, Maria Bamford, did you see her special?
So
She did.
funny.
Yeah, she did a stand-up special where she just did a set in front of her parents sitting on the couch.
Oh, I read about it. I didn't see it though.
That's hilarious.
If you guys haven't seen Maria Bamford, by the way, we'll feature her next episode.
Should be a great
She's
one.
a wild comic. You've never seen a stand-up like Maria Bamford. No matter how
wow.
you feel about her, such a specific and weird point of view.
True.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised I haven't, because I do claim to be a comedy connoisseur, and I have not heard of her. But
She's Lady Dynamite.
oh, okay, then yes. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so it starts off the road tour, the road trip where she's stealing plates, which is funny. It was all funny premise building. What was really gross though were the motels.
I was a little surprised that Midge stayed in them.
Took it as well as she did.
Yeah.
I mean, she stood her ground that one. She's like, I'm standing up. I'm not like, which probably
Thank
for the
God
best
she
because
did.
yeah, we saw what happened with Susie's face when she laid down. But
Disgusting.
like, if I don't know, if I was going to a motel, like no matter how broke I was, if that's the conditions of it, I feel like I would just sleep in my car.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
thinking that the entire time.
Yeah, I was impressed with Midge because I mean, I don't think I would have done well in that situation, and I wasn't raised in like a penthouse in the Upper East Side.
Right.
So I props to Midge on this one.
Susie's cheek, that makeup was incredible though.
Yeah.
Because I paused it because I get really grossed out, but then I indulge in the gross things that are happening.
Sounds
it's really
healthy.
It's really unhealthy. And I looked and I was like, this looks very real.
Yeah.
The makeup was
Amazon, baby. That skin infection budget is real good.
but she goes through a lot of different issues. One of the sets she was doing, the kitchen was literally on fire. The other one got canceled. So
Because of the storm, yeah.
yeah. It makes sense that you would deal with these issues. Like, I think being a comedian is so hard, especially a woman at that time. But I don't know if these are the issues she
Yeah.
would have realistically faced.
I totally agree. These were a little arbitrary sitcom-y. Like, it felt like more like a Modern Family premise where it's like the kitchen's on fire. And like, granted, I love Modern Family, but that's a network sitcom. It plays by its own rules. It would be much more interesting of like, oh, we don't allow women in this joint, which they eventually got to, or like, I don't like you very much. Like, it would have been interesting if there was more thematically driven reasons for her not to get her due as a stand-up than just like, it's raining.
Yeah, I mean, I liked what came of it because a good manager is going to pump you up. A good manager is going to keep you going no matter the circumstances that are happening. And Susie was just like being a defeatist, which I think because Midge kept trying to be very, we'll get the next one, But I think with Susie's attitude just like going down, she came down too by the end of it, which is what caused the head turn. So I like that we got that from it. But yeah, I agree. I wish that there was maybe some more legitimate reasons.
They could have leaned into like the anti-Semitism of the time. Like for the show that's so, and this is a comedy, so maybe that wouldn't play, but for a show that's so distinctly Jewish and leans into Jewish identity, we talked about the Borscht Belt a couple weeks ago and how that's such an essential component to comedy. But a lot of Jewish comedians, even in this time, faced anti-Semitism. So it might have been really interesting to like come up to a super goyish bar owner who didn't like her style of comedy, or an audience who didn't get it at all, who was just like the most white bread, especially in Pennsylvania. Come on.
That's so true.
There's a bunch of Amish people rolling into the bar.
Yeah, that would have been really interesting. A set she's doing for like Mennonites or Amish people.
Well, and see, that's what I think the show has been missing a little bit of. Because, like you said, I get, like, yeah, of course there's going to be bumps on a tour and stand-up. It's not an easy business. But there's silly things that were happening to her in this episode where I would have, like like to see the majority of it be a little bit more story driven, and then have a couple of those silly things happen. But kind of like that mix. Tina Fey is always good at it. She always talks about how she wants her writer's room to be half Harvard nerds and half stand-ups, because she wants both that like funny, meaningful, witty comedy, and also just like poop jokes sometimes. So I think I would have liked a little bit more of the meaningful comedy in this one for the issues that she was running into, and then still I want freaking hijinks.
For sure. Like the seat thing in the car was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
really nice moment, but that was kind of the whole episode. You
And
know?
the snoring recording was funny.
It was.
That one I thought was great because so many people snore and like just are oblivious to the fact that they snore. And in my family alone, like we have like the most intense snorers in your entire life.
More
Like,
than Susie?
yes.
What?
My uncle, like, I went into the bathroom and tried to sleep in the bathtub on a vacation because I couldn't sleep. Like, his girlfriend kicks him out of the bedroom all the time because she can't sleep. Like, so I think that's a really good way to bring something in, especially to someone like Susie, who's like already.
You'd expect her
You
to
would
snore.
think she wouldn't care. I just thought she wouldn't care, and she was like really upset by it.
I think the standout line was when the snoring stopped and she just said, "Did
I
I die?"
That was good.
I mean, she probably has some sleep apnea. She should probably get that checked out. It's a very serious condition, and you can die in your sleep from it. So
Do they have CPAP machines and then I can fix you? I can get a CPAP machine.
So funny. That was a good running gag of the episode. Before we get into the main one, Amy has a message for you wonderful viewers.
I did. You are wonderful viewers.
You're
So
listeners.
It's, viewers and listeners. We tend to leave you guys out. I'm so sorry. The ones that are just listening. I think we talk with our hands so much. We just assume everyone can see it, no
Because
matter
you're
if
Italian.
it's... I know. You guys are missing out on a lot of hand movements. But really just wanted to take the time to say thank you guys for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. Right now, for us to be able to continue to grow and put on these shows that we love to do so much, we just could use a little bit of help. Make sure you're subscribing, you're liking things on YouTube, you're commenting, getting involved in the conversations. If you're listening on iTunes and you can't see all these awesome hand movements that I'm doing, make sure you're giving us 5 stars. Make sure you comment, like everything. Don't worry, we're not coming off thirsty right now. We just want you guys we just need validation. That's what it comes down to. We're comedians, we're hosts,
Yes.
we're actors. We need validation.
Yeah.
But, make sure you're adding to the conversation too. I know last week we had a couple of people in the live chat. We had some comments afterwards. If there's something that you want us to talk about, a topic or something that you think we've been missing out on during the season, anything like that, shout us out, let us know. Really, at the end of the day, being a part of the AfterBuzz TV family has just been awesome. I love getting to do this every day, coming in and talking with mostly just these 3 people. This is obviously the best group out of the whole.
Of course.
Hell yeah.
But, we really appreciate the support and you guys tuning in. So thank you so much. Please continue to do so and let us know what we can do to shout you guys out every once in a while, too.
Yes, we love it. We do love validation. Everyone loves validation.
What's that like old joke? They say it in Chicago too, where she's all like, "We crave attention." This because we never got it as children.
When we were young.
Not that that's true. It's just a funny.
I'm worried for
Happenstance.
Esther and Ethan. That's what I have to say. If that's the case.
they definitely might need.
Dark futures for those nuggets.
I feel not as bad for Ethan. He gets to answer the phone.
That was cute.
Esther, I don't think Esther's gonna even know she has parents. I never even see her anymore. I think she's in the Catskills still.
I think the last time I remember seeing her is when Midge was worried that she doesn't have a symmetrical face.
Yep.
Well, remember Midge even asked Abe where she was. And he's like, "She's with your mom." I don't know if she is.
I don't think
Maybe
she is.
Rose thinks she's with Abe. Like, I don't know. Esther is a missing child right now.
She's
Let's
the
be
one
real.
having hijinks. She's off
Yes.
on her own tour right now. Esther tours America.
I want the spinoff.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they leave Pennsylvania and they get back to New York, this is actually way worse than the Midway to Midtown episode. Because Ricky, played by Johnny Hopkins, the booker, decides he doesn't have to pay them because
They were
late by 10 minutes, which is just crazy, insane. And he locked Susie in a closet. What
This
did
was
you guys...
the part of the episode I think I enjoyed the most because unlike the other things where it's like, oh, you're not playing here because of like a storm or a fire, like we said, this was someone being just blatantly, "I'm not going to pay you." And like, what do you do in that situation? Like, how do you force him? And she's trying. And I think that that's a downfall of Susie, that she wants to be so good at this. And she is good. but it is still a man's world, and she,
Yeah.
even though she thinks like, you know, people can mistake her for a man and stuff, she's still not one, and she still doesn't know how to handle the situations in this because she's not physically going to be able to take that down, not like Joel did.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most poignant lines of the episode when Midge was like, "It sucks, but I mean, yeah, what you sometimes you still need a man when you're dealing in a man's world." And I thought that was just such a good line. I mean, it's still true in a lot of situations today, but much less especially. I mean, my goodness, like for a female comic and a female manager.
Yeah. I was thinking about this scene, and has the show discussed Susie's sexuality at all? Has that ever come up?
Not really.
No.
It doesn't really matter, but I was thinking, like, we have her trapped in a closet moment. I wondered if there was, like...
Well, they also did bring up, like, she's like, no one you ever shared a bed with, and she's like, who's like climbing into my bed? It just seems like she seems very asexual at this
Yeah,
point.
she does.
Yeah.
This might be interesting. I don't know. I don't know if that's something the show would need to explore, if it would even enhance the show or just detract from it, but maybe, like, down the line, it'd be interesting to see, like, Susie dating. Or, like... I don't know.
I agree with you, but the most the show was explored was with the fellow con artist at the camp.
Right.
Yeah.
Crisscross.
So creepy, crisscross. I will say though, there was one funny bit of her stand-up where she talks about Senator Kennedy running for president and made the comparison with heels and why men are so powerful because they don't have to wear the shoes. So that was a smartly written line, in my opinion.
I mean, I think like female comics lean on that, and it's so true, and I think that's why it hits. And like men, I think can understand that because you see how long it takes us to get ready in comparisons to most men, like doing your makeup, doing your hair, getting you dressed, like picking out the right outfit. Like it takes a good hour or more versus, I don't know, Jeff, how long would you say it takes you to get ready in the morning?
I think it would be offensive if I said how long it takes me to get ready in the morning because it's so low.
Oh my god.
30 seconds?
Oh god.
I have this running bit with my wife where if she doesn't do her makeup, I'll go, "You didn't paint your face for me? Woman, who let you out of the home? You must paint your face before you can present yourself to the world."
But it is true because it's like that ongoing joke of like, it's always joked about how much women have everything going on and how we're able to keep track of everything and multitask so much. And it takes so long, like if we didn't have to take that long to get ready, we'd run the world kind of joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great set because she's talking about like politics, which we haven't really heard in any of
No.
her sets yet. So it's like she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna make some political commentary right now, and then also just joke about how uncomfortable heels are. And I was like,
I liked the Jackie
Yeah.
Kennedy stuff. The linen
Yes.
pants.
Yeah.
I will say Rachel Brosnahan's a great delivery. She like does. She's obviously not a stand-up. She's just a really good actress, and like not every actress can sell stand-up like she does.
No way.
She really delivers this material well. It's good timing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Would you think that? I'm curious from a comedian standpoint. Does that make what's the factors that make someone a comedian? Obviously, timing. You've talked about the importance of that, but could someone like Rachel Brosnahan do that, or do you still have to be kind of unique in your thinking yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would depend on what she was writing or who she had writing for her also. Because obviously, like, this is all tailored to one specific thing that she's been proven to be so good at. But yeah, like we said, the timing she has. And another big part of it is not only the timing, but knowing the beats and the inflection of everything that you're doing too. So, and I mean, she hits those beats so hard. Like, she just knows where the laugh lines are and how to build. So I think that, yeah, I mean, she probably could be, but it would be finding that own unique voice. Whereas that's the big difference, too, is that a lot of stand-ups will portray a character.
Right.
You know, like what they do on stage is not necessarily them, whereas others, it's them. It's very authentic. That's kind of who they are. So I think it'd be interesting to see if she kind of went out there with her own voice as herself, if she'd still have that like perfect timing, great beats to everything, or if that's where she would falter, because as an actor, she's like, oh, I'm Midge doing this. I can
Right.
be Midge doing this.
It's a lot easier sometimes for actors to do something when they're portraying someone. So
Yes.
I agree
Yeah.
with you with that.
Well, and she's gone on the record of saying the stand-up is terrifying. Like, she's been very deliberate to say, like, I'm not a stand-up.
Yeah.
I have a deep admiration for stand-ups.
Well, it
but,
is-
yeah,
sorry,
you're
cut you off.
fine. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's scary thing. Like when you're selling someone else's jokes, like she is right now, and
Yeah.
if it doesn't get laughs, it's like, oh well, they're not my jokes. But if like you're writing your own jokes and they're not getting laughs, then it's like, oh, it's a lot harder, I think.
For sure. And not every writer is a stand-up. I mean, there's a lot of really, really funny, sharp writers who are great in a room. They're great for sketch or television, but they bomb on stage. And the truth is, there are stand-ups who aren't great writers, but they're so good at delivery that they're performers. So stand-up, the line gets blurred. I mean, obviously the masters are amazing writers and amazing performers, but I think that's a small crop. And those are the ones who fly.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. On the other side of this episode, I think it's just showing what she is leaving behind, kind of with the juxtaposition of her going through this hard time trying to figure out her place in comedy, but then missing her best friend's baby shower that she made such a big deal about.
Well, I think it goes back to what we were talking about even last episode with you have to, like, some things are going to get put to the back burner, and that you're not going to be able to give your all to this and something else at this moment while you're still coming up in it. And that's, friends and family sometimes might get pushed away in your mind because you're focusing so much on the comedy. And that's what I think we saw again this episode is that,
Yeah, I think it's great that they're finding different ways to show that, because I had actually just rewatched that last episode too. I know I missed the panel for it, but where the artist, where Declan, was saying that's just what's going to happen. So to have something like very easy and apparent happen like this, but also, I mean, all the while she's been lying to her family for this whole time too. It's all these little pieces of things that she's having to either put on the back burner or lie about, or not really be able to find a balance between both worlds. And that's why I think this season's really interesting, because we're getting to see those things start to trickle in.
It is funny that she seemed to be able to handle it better when it was a secret.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't miss out on family stuff when it was a secret.
Yeah.
Now that it's out, I think she maybe feels more free to miss out on those things because there's not she doesn't have to make an excuse up to why she missed it.
True.
Yeah, things are paying off. That's a really good point. Like, the whole thematic arc of the last episode was, is it possible? And this episode had an argument against. This episode directly answered the questions that were raised in the episode before. So even if it wasn't the most plot forward, it's still leaning into the themes of this show, which I think is really important and still giving us momentum through this season. I will say, though, I loved the baby shower scene. I thought it was really sweet. And, like, Midge still charmed me in the way she handled that.
Completely.
Yeah.
I was just, I mean, it's a little skip forward, but it just has to deal with the baby shower. So I'm sorry if I'm moving too fast.
No,
but,
it's okay. We're winding
I was
down.
just going to say, like, last week I made the prediction that I think Rose is going to be still upset with her in different ways. And I think this is the episode that we kind of saw, like, how she's going to deal with it. And it's not going to be like, I'm going to blow up in your face. She's like, you made this mess. You clean it up.
That's so true, Brie. You did crush that prediction.
No, that's
spot on.
actually perfectly on time with what I was going to bring up. I agree. I think that the roles have kind of reversed, where Rose is being like, nah, not in my house, so I'll do it in a petty way, which is the Rose way, one of the pettiest actresses in the best way possible. And Joel, on the flip side, is like Midge's #1 supporter right now.
Yeah, which is ironic of seeing as where we came from the beginning of the season with him to where we are now with him.
How did we feel about the way Joel handled it?
Great.
I mean, I was so pissed off at that guy that I was like, yeah, punch him.
Yeah. There's sometimes, and I totally am against violence, but there's sometimes only certain ways to handle people, and that guy is so low on the totem pole that he respects violence, I think.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
way he responded to it.
I also think that Joel wasn't doing it in a way, like, it didn't come across as a way as like, let me save you, I am your white knight. It was like, she needs something from me, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go help her out because she's my wife and I respect her.
Yeah.
And to jump off that, Brie, too, he defended her not because of their marriage, but because of her talent. That's the one thing that's so interesting about Joel, is he's way too insecure emotionally to support Midge in a romantic, like, he doesn't have the capacity to be in a romantic relationship with Midge when she's so talented, but as an admirer and like a colleague, he would go to bat for her any day. So the show's done a great job of, like, giving us a complicated version of Joel, because on one hand you can tell he really admires and respects her as an artist, but he's way too insecure to be with her.
Totally true.
Yeah, and I think I like that we're getting to see that more, because I'm finally able to, like, not hate Joel because of that.
Right.
And I mean, I think this was one of the first scenes that I was truly, like, 100% on board with Joel. It just took him punching someone
There you
for
go.
me to like him. So
And I think, Susie's gonna, I think Susie and him are gonna have a hard time though. I'll get more into it with predictions, but like we saw in this little thing, like I think Susie's not okay with him being the White Knight and coming to the rescue. Like she wants to be able to be that for Midge because that's her job. She's her manager, and so I think she's feeling insecure of the fact that she can't be that.
That's a good point, because even that one interaction that she had with Benjamin, where he's just like, "Yeah, she's funny," or she's just like, "Yeah, I know." Like like everything that someone else says that's kind of like could take away from some of that, like you said, like that White Knight kind of status. She doesn't react too kindly to it. So I think that's a good point. That'll be interesting.
True. Any other final thoughts on the episode?
I just wanted to shout out Midge for getting to sign her first autograph.
Oh,
sweet.
Special moment. That was.
Do you know who I signed my first autograph for?
Who?
It was like this child who was at a show that I did when I was like 16. And it was like this girl that was probably like 9. And she was just like, "Can I have your autograph?" And I was just like, "Yeah! This is awesome."
I love
My
it.
parents
That's
have my
pretty
first
exciting.
autograph.
Aww.
I signed a photo for them and they framed it, and it says there's to them my first autograph.
Who has your 1,000th autograph?
We'll see. We'll see when we get there.
Free. Will you sign?
After the show. After the show. Do you have...
Yeah. I got you.
Bree, can you take our special segment away first?
Yes. So our special segment is every week I highlight a different female comedian and to show some different variety, I think, of where we've come from and where we're going still with comedy. So this week I picked Wanda Sykes.
Oh, classic.
I want to get married.
Oh, this is from
I do.
last
I want to
week.
get married.
Or from last episode.
We do a lot of coverage here, so if you guys didn't see our last episode, you got a sneak preview of what we covered last time, which was Ali Wong.
Who has 2 Netflix specials.
We can do news right now and then maybe jump back to our special segment as we pull up
that's
Wanda
fine.
Sykes.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So for news, 2 quick things. One, I read an article, I guess that it came out that Rachel Brosnahan and her husband, which I'm blanking on his name because I just know him from Magicians, and so I just call him his character name, but that they just got married, and she put out a thing saying, "No, we've been married for years
Oh, interesting.
and together even longer than that." So
For years?
for years.
Wow.
She didn't state how many years, but her comment was, "We have been married for years,
They
and
were
we were
child
together
brides.
even longer than that." So I guess
Yeah.
someone published that they got married about 6 months ago, and she's like, "Nope, 100% not true."
Dang.
I love how slick she is under the radar. She's like the star of like the biggest show on TV right now, winning awards left and right. Like no one knows when she got married.
Well,
That's
like,
awesome.
I didn't even know they were together. When I saw him at the Golden Globes, I was like, "Oh, it's what's his face from The Magicians," and I was like, "Are they together?" And they are.
She's the
like
type of celebrity that, like, if you had to be one, I feel like that's the goal, because they don't care about making her like a Lindsay Lohan and exposing all her secrets. They're just focused
Yeah.
on her art, which I think most actresses and actors would want.
And like, what's she gonna do that's controversial? Can you picture her, like, she's so well spoken. All of her award speeches, I'm just like, why isn't she like our president?
Yeah, she actually has a lot of Jackie O factors.
Yeah.
And then the other little part of news I had was that the cast of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is renegotiating their contracts for some more moolah.
Oh, nice.
I
So
don't
they
blame
have
them.
hit that status now that they can be like, "You're gonna give us more money."
Yeah, Jeff Bezos, can't cough it up.
He's got a little less now, though.
Oh, you know me as a feminist. Hell yeah. Jeff Bezos. You take that money, wifey.
Well, and it is such an interesting because companies and studios can kind of barter with you when, besides Tony Shalhoub, other people might know of other people in this cast. I wasn't super familiar besides Alex Bornstein and Tony Shalhoub. I really didn't know many people in this cast. And so when it's a brand new show, you have some backing because you have Amy Sherman Palladino and you have these other people, but I think that they can argue to pay you less because you're like, we don't know if this is going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now that they've basically swept 2 years worth of awards, they're like, you can afford to give us some more money for this.
They've got some leverage.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it works.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, so that is our news for today.
Perfect.
So we can get into Wanda right now.
Yeah.
My daughter, she thinks she's a princess. She's all into that. And I messed up. And we took them to Disneyland. And look, I had to take them to Disneyland because they were going to France that summer. And I knew my mother-in-law had plans to take them to Euro Disney. And I was like, bullshit. I refused to let their first Disney experience be in Europe. I was like, they're not gonna go to Disney and eat baguettes and wear berets. I was like, fuck that. They're going to the U.S. Disney and walk around with a giant turkey leg. USA. And my daughter, she lost it when we got to the Princess Castle, you know, because that's where they all hang out, you know. So she gets in there and she's like, because she just lost her shit. Because, you know, it's Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, they all there. And she is just in her world. She's going and hugging them and taking pictures with them and tears in her eyes. And she's talking to them. And I'm just sitting there watching like, wow, they're really treating these women like they're that character. They bring them tea. Somebody's fanning them. She got security around them and shit. And I'm like, wow. What a shitty job. No, because, you know, you're a princess now. But when you clock out...
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I think that's good to end there.
You got to take that long hike to the employment.
Oh man, she's so funny. She's made Monster-in-Law for me. The movie,
nice.
with Jane Fonda.
Yeah, I wanted to pick that clip and highlight it just because we have been talking so much about like having family and a career, and so it was nice to pick a clip for having her talk about her family for someone that has a career.
The thing I love about Wanda Sykes is I feel like her delivery, I think someone like Midge is very heightened. It does feel charactery. Wanda, I feel like I'm like talking with my friend at dinner. Like I feel like her delivery feels like she's right there with you. She's so laid back and so relaxed, which is, it's impressive, you know?
Yeah, well, with someone like Midge, who's obviously comes from like a lot of money and stuff, I think the majority of us, I can't speak for the rest of you, did not grow up in that lap of luxury.
No.
So talking to someone, it just seems like more like she's on our level, like she understands.
Yeah.
And we can understand her a little better. Like where Midge is like, do you understand how it's like to live this way?
Yeah, it's true.
It's funny, they're both such like different kinds of timing, because Midge has this incredible timing that's just very quick and sing-songy, and like hers is too in a way, but she knows exactly how long to wait. Like her silence is beautiful so often when she does it, and she has a kind of crazy voice anyways, and she knows how to use it.
Yeah.
So talking about like the beats and which lines that she hits, she knows exactly where to like make her voice more crazy too.
Yeah.
Michelle Wolf is someone who does the same thing too, because like she has a very different sounding voice. Melissa Villaseñor, same thing. Like they all use that kind of like really unique voice and escalate it so much just in how they give their delivery to everything.
So true.
And what a perfect representation of France to America. Baguettes and berets, turkey legs.
I had the thought of a turkey leg. That's healthy. I'd be like corn dogs. Is what I would think,
Not the ones they serve at Disneyland.
Yeah, true.
They're humongous, and like one person eats one.
Right. We were all thinking Dole Whip is the ideal Disneyland treat, but right?
Dole Whip churros.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's
Oh,
multiple
yeah.
things I'll eat at
Yeah.
Disney.
Let us know in the comments. What would you do?
What's your favorite Disney snack? Do you go for the Dole Whip, the Mickey ice cream with the ears, or maybe some Mickey pancakes? As long as they have ears on them, I mean, eat whatever.
That's
Well, that was great. Great choice, Bree. Killing it again. Thank you very much. But we will be back on... Oh, wait. Sorry, you guys. Predictions. We have 2 more episodes.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
We're good at this, I promise.
Oh, yes. Well, I feel like I got into a lot of my predictions.
It was just Steph with her comedic timing was what it was.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was a joke. Did
She
you
was
get
playing
it?
us. It's perfect.
Jeff, what do you think?
I think that we're gonna. Well, I said it last week. I feel like I'm leaning in the same predictions I've been saying, which is a Joel, Benjamin, Midge moment.
Yeah, I'm kind of like now wondering though if we're gonna get that this season or not.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like maybe they won't deliver that until next season. Maybe it'll end on a cliffhanger where next season will begin with that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I do think we're gonna get more of these like slights from Rose, because I don't think Rose is completely on board, and we haven't had really their blowout with each other over this. I think Joel and Susie, because we've seen them butt heads in the past, and now with him kind of being a little bit more involved in her life, at least in a friendship area. Obviously, with the last episode with him not being really okay with her dating, we know he's still wanting something romantic from this potentially. But yeah, I think they might have a blowout though.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like.
Amy can't predict. She's seen the whole season.
I have to go last.
Okay.
to go.
She's gonna predict what we're gonna.
I
Yeah.
love it. It's my favorite thing.
Me too. I think that I just really want to get into Midge getting on big stage, but I think that's more season 3.
Yeah.
But I do think that I would love to see Abe and Rose watch her do a stand-up.
Yeah.
In some form, and I agree with Jeff. There has to be a Benjamin Joel meeting or something that either de-escalates or escalates him and Midge's relationship, and that's it for next episode. I don't know how they're gonna end the season in 2 episodes, right? 2 more?
2 more episodes, yeah.
more.
I don't
Susie
know,
dies.
but oh my god, that would be drastic. And I love that we're laughing about it.
It was the snoring. The snoring finally got her.
No, I was like literally just about to make a comment about that we didn't talk about all that Jewish food she ordered Imogene, and I was like, wow, that made me hungry.
Oh, yeah.
And then it went to Susie dying, and I was like, oh.
That was like just a purely aesthetic scene to me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it made me want to like go get corned beef sandwiches.
Yeah.
Ooh, a Reuben.
Obviously.
Yes.
A nice deli. Okay, Amy.
Okay. All right. So I think feeling like a tutorial week next week. We're gonna have some show and tell. I think Jeff is going to actually flip the roles and show us how he would paint his face. So he's gonna do a makeup tutorial for us all.
Paint my face.
Bree is going to bring in her crystal ball to show us how she actually knows these predictions week in and week out.
Yeah.
Do a nice little, maybe there's a seance, maybe there's not. Tune in. And I know, Steph, you mentioned that you don't condone violence. She's lying. Closeted UFC champion. She's
see it.
going to throw down with the UFC current champion. I don't know what
We
they're
don't
called.
know who it is.
And that's gonna happen. So get ready for that one
Gosh,
too.
there.
when you saying Jeff paint his face, now I just really want for our last episode for you to be dressed as a woman.
I would think
it's
about
like
it.
all I want.
I would think about it. In honor of the badass women on this panel in this show, I would think about it. I just don't want to
right.
insult the culture.
Oh, you won't. It's fine. We're
you
speaking
say
for
that
all
now.
women. You're fine.
Okay. Great.
I think he's talking about drag culture.
Any of them. I don't know if it's a great look right now to like jokingly dress up as a woman.
Yeah.
But who knows? We might do it.
But what if it was women that dressed you that way? Then would it be
Fair
okay?
enough. It would be a flashback to my childhood. I've got 2 older sisters. That was what it would be. Yeah.
Perfect.
It sounds dramatic.
Intention is
Just to be
important.
nostalgic.
Yes. Intention's important. True.
And so, Bree, what's our schedule for our final 2 episode
It looks like we're
coverage?
probably going to be filming them unless anything happens between now and then on Thursday at 4 p.m. and 5 p.m.
Perfect. And until then, where can we find you guys?
Guys, I'm on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham. I'm covering a Hulu show called Butterfly tomorrow, which, speaking of, deals with trans issues. So check
Full
that
circle.
out.
So maybe
I'll
you'll
dress up
learn.
as a woman for that one. That would be appropriate, right?
Yeah, no.
Maybe not. I'm not gonna test out the dressing up as a woman thing for Butterfly, but you can tune in. That's gonna be our dramas channel tomorrow between the hours of noon and 3 p.m. Pacific.
And you guys can find me at Bri_Phipps, PHIPPS. I am really trying to tweet and Instagram more, so support me in that.
Yes.
And you can also find me Sundays on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend after show panel at 6 p.m.
Nice. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Amy Maestri. And if you're an SNL fan, stick around because at 7 o'clock, me and Steph are doing the SNL after show for the James McAvoy episode.
But usually on Sundays.
Yes.
And I'm Steph Sabraw. I'll actually be covering Magicians Wednesday at 9, which is Rachel Brosnahan's husband.
I love that none of
stars
us
in it.
know his name.
I know. It's really messed
It's
up.
really bad.
I mean, role reversal, whatever, happens to us all the time. He's a great actor, and I will know it soon.
Mr. Brosnahan.
Mr. Brosnahan.
That's what he shall forth be known as.
Always.
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabraw. Until next time, have a marvelous day.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.